Patch 10.04 went live this morning, bringing with it the new duelist Waylay. The two main reactions to her have been that she seems like a buff version of Jett, and that she seems quite overpowered. Although people say this when every agent releases, so today we're going to be taking a look at the current duelist meta and Waylay, and try to break down where she's going to fit in. Waylay's abilities are a stun grenade, a dash, a teleport/recall, and a stun AoE similar to Breach's ult. There's been a lot of criticism of her basically just being a buff Jett, and honestly, yeah, maybe. I'm already predicting Riot will bring her down to only one dash within the first few months because we all saw how powerful 2 dashes was on Jett. My biggest criticism of her is that all 4 of her abilities are basically just a copy of an ability that's already in the game. Everyone keeps comparing her signature to Phoenix's ult, but I think a better comparison is Yoru or Chamber's TP. They added the keyword hindered as well, which kind of feels sloppy to me, like they were trying to preemptively avoid the criticism of her ult being basically Breach's ult and her stun basically just being Clove stun. At least she'll probably be pretty easy for current players to pick up since her abilities will feel very familiar. Usually, Riot has a sort of niche or casus belli for each agent, like what role they're supposed to fill. Like Cloves was first in controller, like we talked about in the last video, but honestly, Waylay kind of just feels like overcrowding the field with just yet another duelist. She's like Jett and Phoenix's love child, but they found out on Dr. Phil that Breach is the real father. So how is Waylay going to fit into the duelist meta? Pre-patch 10.04, the duelist meta was pretty balanced. Everyone but Yoru has a ranked pick rate between 49 and 51, and all of them feel alright to play in ranked. At Masters Bangkok, the most played duelist was Yoru, which was crazy, followed by Raze and a little bit of Jett. The sample size for Masters Bangkok is really small though, and in the kickoff tournaments for each region, it looked a lot more healthy. Side note, there was some crazy Yoru styling at Bangkok, and if you haven't seen any of the matches, you should definitely Google Bangkok fake Yoru clone after the video. I have a feeling that Waylay will be up there with Reyna and Phoenix in ranked. In ranked, the best duelists are ones that can kind of do it for themselves and don't have to rely on their teams, and I think Waylay's ability to stun for herself before she dashes out will prove quite valuable in ranked. I do think her success largely hinges on whether her hinder abilities will prove to be more or less valuable than regular stuns. Like if they're significantly better than regular stuns, Waylay might prove to be overpowered, and if they're worse than regular stuns, Waylay might prove to be kind of bad, and if they're about the same, she'll probably still be a good pick, but maybe she's not as overpowered as everyone thinks. So if her hinder is as good or better than regular stun, I think she has the potential to hit a 50.5 to 51% win rate. Side note, ISO got a pretty big nerf, which we're going to talk about later, but because of that, I would not invest in ISO stonks right now. I have his pick rate and win rate decreasing in the next act, while Phoenix, Reyna, and Jett will probably bleed quite a bit of pick rate over to Waylay. When we talk about the pro meta, I want to point to a very specific new piece of tech that's been developing where Yoru jump spots through a smoke and then TPs out to kind of gain info or to re-clear a space. The big issue with doing this as Yoru is usually Yoru's TP is going to be positioned on the other side of the map, so you're leaving a site with relatively fewer defenders. Now imagine doing this as Waylay. Waylay could pop her tracer ability, jump spot out of the smoke, and if she does see someone, she can TP back really easy without giving up as much space as you would doing this as Yoru. Because of this, I think Waylay actually has the potential to be one of the better pro agents, probably taking pick rate mostly from Yoru and Jett. Like if you pair her with an initiator that has a flash like Breach or Gecko, it feels like that would just be super overpowered in pro. Like I'm imagining on Ascent having a Waylay and Breach, you could use potentially 4 stuns and have Breach flash out, and it would just be free for Waylay players. Alright, so let's talk about the maps. So Ascent and Icebox are re-entering the map pool in place of Bind and Abyss. Good fucking riddance, Abyss, stay gone forever. The maps on the left side of the chart on your screen are the maps that are in the pool post 10.04, which came out this morning, so in the current competitive pool, and the ones on the right are out of the pool. If a map is labeled good, that means I think she will be super competitive with the best, or just straight up the best duelist on that map. Mid means there might be a better pick, but she'll certainly be playable. And bad means she's probably one of the worser duelists to pick for those maps. There's probably better options. In my mind, Waylay will probably be pretty good, if not the best opper on defense, because she has the Tracer get out of jail free card ability, especially in places like Haven A and C long, Pearl B, and Ascent mid. This is the main reason I put her as being good on those maps, because it feels like she could be good on attack on all those maps, but also be a pretty good option for defense. I also have her being good on Lotus, because I think she's going to be excellent at fighting for the A rebel space if you're doing a aggressive defense. All of the mid maps, I think she'll struggle on one of the halves, mainly the defense halves. On Breeze, I think she might also struggle with attack. Because of all the super long angles, we'll have to see if the dash is really enough to break crosshairs at those distances. Honestly, maybe I should have put bad for Breeze. And finally, on bind and split, I just don't think she can top Razor Phoenix. Like, with all the tight spaces, I don't see her getting much value on defense or attack. Granted, all of the speculation is from seeing one match, the show match on Sunday, so it's possible that this is just completely wrong. Alright, for the rest of the video, we're just going to go over the other 10.04 changes, starting with Clove. So the changes to Clove were really vindicating for me because I put out a video last Friday basically calling for a Clove nerf, and the fact that they finally did get a nerf, it just makes me really happy. It's more of a rework than a nerf, but it is a net nerf. Their smoke regen timer got increased from 30 seconds to 40 seconds, which is the biggest nerf out of everything. Metal got changed to where you can now do lineups with it, like it lasts a little bit longer, but I don't think that's going to have a huge impact. And finally, the pick-me-up got changed to where the movement speed goes away faster, but the health buff lasts a little bit longer. Deadlock got a pretty unexpected rework, moving her Gravnet over to be her signature ability, which is a little strange, but I don't know. I don't really think it's a net nerf or a net buff. I think it's just kind of a change. ISO, we talked about ISO earlier. His undercut got a nerf. There's only one charge now and it costs more. And also the double tap, he's also slowed more when someone breaks his shield. His contingency did get an alt fire, which makes it to where it can move at half speed, but I'm not really sure where this would be extremely useful. And the last agent that got a non-bug fix change was Teho. They decreased his rockets from doing 70 damage to 65 damage, and they do 50% damage to abilities, which makes a KJ lockdown be able to survive just barely with 5 HP. This is a pretty massive change actually, because there have been several games where I've been playing KJ specifically on Fracture, and every single time I ulted, it would just get destroyed by Teho rockets, and having a free ability counter a 9 cost ult just isn't that healthy. So this change was probably really smart, unless I'm just a KJ main coping. Finally, Ascent got an unexpected change where they added an armored wall to be main to prevent the Odin and Ares spam that would happen at the beginning of rounds. I would like to point out that Ascent came back after only being out for one act, or like a little more than 2 months, which is the shortest a map has ever been out of the pool. And if I was going to get a little bit conspiratorial about it, I think they might have brought Ascent back because that's going to be one of Waylay's better maps. Like, maybe they brought Ascent back so soon purely because they wanted to put Waylay's best maps into the pool, you know? Icebox had this really weird mini map change when they were updating it to the new visual system that includes height differences, and although it looks different when you actually go there in game, it doesn't look any different than it was before. So I think maybe the old mini map just wasn't accurate, and I'm not remembering that. Alright, that's going to be it for today. If you couldn't tell, I'm getting a little bit sick, so if the audio for this video is kind of bad, sorry. If you agree or disagree with anything I said, let me know in the comments. I do try to reply to all of them. And until next time, stay Valorant.